Hey everybody, Ken Sat Kunum, North Star Technology Group. I am very thankful that you are taking time out of your schedule to maybe learn a thing or two about AI and how possibly it could impact your business. But I'd like to start with a simple observation. Right now, AI is everywhere, right? Every vendor says they have it. Every platform claims to be powered by it. Every news cycle seems to be amplifying it. But here's the real question. Is AI actually improving business performance, or is it just another technology wave that's creating a lot of noise? So today I want to talk and move through this conversation out of the hype cycle and into the boardroom. We're not here to talk about chatbots or creating funny pictures and images in ChatGPT. We're not here to experiment. We're really here to answer some questions. How does AI improve my business margin? How does it reduce operational friction in my company? How does it enable scalable growth? And how do you implement it without increasing risk to your business? AI is not a tech trend. It is a business capability, and the organizations that treat it strategically are going to outperform those who treat it experimentally. So here's how we're going to kind of structure today. First, I'm going to talk about some real first world-class cases, practical operational examples that real businesses are using AI to help their business. Second, we're going to talk about the risk of doing this all by yourself, because AI unmanaged um, is introducing a whole level set of exposures in many organizations that you really want to avoid. Third, we're going to talk about ROI, right? The financial aspects of this. Are you getting money back for the money that you put in? Not necessarily theoretical ROI, but operational impact. And finally, we're going to talk about how we help businesses approach AI in a structured, secure, measurable way through our Protect to Propel framework, where we focus first on solid cybersecurity foundations that let your AI and automations run full throttle. It's not a technology presentation. This is a growth strategy conversation. So let's reframe AI. Most people view AI as software. Maybe that's you. That's technically not correct. AI is decision acceleration. AI is process compression. AI is operational leverage. And if you think about your business today, where do you see bottlenecks? Maybe it takes a long time to get reports that you're asked for. Maybe you have a bunch of process in your company that is manual and time consuming or rely on humans to participate in that process. Maybe it takes you a long time to make decisions because you're not getting the information that you want, or you're not getting the input and insight that may be useful to help make faster decisions. And maybe you have a lot of administrative overhead. Maybe you are like a lot of our customers and have compliance complexity, right, in your business. You are required to follow certain rules. AI directly addresses friction in your business, and friction is expensive. And what we hope to do with AI is to remove that friction. What's the outcome of that? Well, faster decisions, teams become more productive, growth becomes smoother, customer experiences improve. AI should never add complexity. If it does, it probably wasn't implemented correctly. So let's break down why AI seems to be getting sustained investment. Why are businesses putting money into this stuff? Well, first, operational efficiencies, right? Every business has hidden labor costs tied up in repetitive work. I know you guys are thinking about this in your own businesses right now. There are certain tasks that you have to repeat every single day, every single week, every single month, every single quarter, right? It's repetitive. Maybe it's data entry. Maybe you have to create a document or a report. Maybe you have to manage and triage your email inbox. Maybe there is a scheduling or a time management piece that is repetitive. Maybe you have to report internally, either up the chain or down the chain. AI reduces that risk dramatically. Second, smarter and faster decisions. Executives often operate with lagging indicators. This happens all the time, even in our business. By the time your reports get on your desk, the opportunity is already gone, right? Where the data is late or slow or may not even be relevant anymore. AI enables real-time insight into your data, not waiting for somebody to produce a report for you. Third, resource allocation. What if you could identify which customers are the most profitable or which processes within your business are wasteful, time consuming, or which projects maybe deserve investment and where others maybe deserve shelving? AI enhances that capital efficiency. Fourth, scalability without complexity. Traditional growth usually requires more people, more management leadership layers, and more overhead, which is expensive. AI allows that output to grow faster than your headcount. I think you can see how that can change your margin structure in your business. So let's make this tangible. Let's talk about a few examples, right? Customer service automation, right? AI handles first line inquiries instantly. Um, I got a couple real world examples here by companies that are doing this. So let's talk about customer service automation first. Maybe some of you heard of Bank of America, right? They are a large bank in the United States. They have an AI solution that they call Erica. I have no idea how this was named. You've got the Steve Jobs that names his computer Lisa after his daughter. Erica must have some sort of significance or meaning. Nonetheless, they have an AI tool called Erica. So the problem that Bank of America was trying to solve is that they handle, as you can expect, tens of millions of customer inquiries annually. So traditional call centers often created high operational costs, inconsistent response times, long wait queues, strain during peak periods, right? Like you can imagine the bottlenecks that's created by you having human call center. So what did they do? Well, back in 2018, they started this. A big myth is that AI is just this recent invention. But if any of you have used Netflix and are asked, you want to watch other movies just like this, AI has been around for forever. Not forever, but for a while. But in 2018, they launched Erica. And Erica uses natural language processing, so you can talk to it in human language, not computer language. It uses predictive analytics and behavioral pattern analysis to handle inquiries, transaction histories, subscription identification, even monitoring for fraud and credit score monitoring, bill reminders. Um, Almost 40 million people actively use Erica today. Over 1.5 billion interactions have been handled, which has resulted in significant reduction in live agent volume, faster response times, as you can imagine, 24/7, 365, this stuff works, and higher customer engagement utilizing their mobile app. Um, so what structural advantage did they get from this? Well, certainly they have 24/7 instant support without scaling headcount. They're able to reduce their cost to serve each customer, and all of their data is used to personalize the experience with each person that acts with the system. Oh yeah, so somebody on the chat just said Erica, Bank of America. That's why we have smarter people than I on this. That makes sense. That makes sense. Want to hear another one? How about Walmart? Right? Walmart did a retail demand forecasting application. So their problem that they had is a overstock of inventory, right? So imagine you buy your big retailer like Walmart, you have all this product, right? And so you're stocking, you're trying to make sure that you have the right amount of inventory. Too much inventory is expensive because it sits there unsold. Too little inventory is bad, right? Because then customers don't have products to buy. Um, and then often with an organization as big as Walmart, you have issues about inefficiency in supply chain decision. And it could be ordering, but it could be a bunch of different other things. So Walmart deployed an AI agent that uses machine learning to understand their history of sales, crazy things like weather patterns, and we'll get to that in a second, and regional buying behavior. Not a lot of shovels here in Arizona being bought, right? Maybe a little bit more up in North Dakota. They analyze promotions and certain macroeconomic signals. And what happens is this AI system dynamically adjusts store by store level inventories, right? We don't need a lot of shovels even in North Dakota in July, but we may need a lot in December, right? It handles replenishment schedules, right, to make sure that inventory is always exactly what they need. So what was the ultimate result of this? Well, for sure, they reduced stockouts, right? They had product when they needed it, when people wanted to buy it. They had fewer extra inventory, which again reduces that expense. And they had just a better alignment, right, between logistics, which is their shipping, and the demand for the products. I'm going to do one more real world example, and I'm hoping that some of these examples will trigger some ideas, within your business. And it doesn't need to be at the same scale, right? And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, those are big organizations. But every one of these things, like AI and technology modernization, is the great equalizer, right? So think through as I'm talking about some of these real world use cases, if there's something in your business that this could be useful for. We do a lot of stuff in compliance and healthcare, right? Mount Sinai Health System, they built an AI solution that was meant to solve the predictive analytics for patients that no-show appointments. So again, you can imagine, I'm sure all of you guys can relate, right? You schedule something, an appointment, the day comes and you get that reminder and you're like, I am swamped. I can't make this meeting. But from the healthcare provider's side, no shows are a big problem, right? Obviously, it leaks revenue. They've planned for your visit and you're not going to be there. Um, they have to pay for physician time, right? Whether people show up to their appointments or not. So underutilized physician time is expensive. Paying this guy or gal a lot of money to sit there and not see you because you didn't show up. And certainly that leads to scheduling inefficiencies. How do you plan for the expectation that some people might not show up? So Mount Sinai built an AI model, again, trained on historical data of appointments, no-shows, and people that actually went to their appointments. And they used it to predict, number one, the likelihood that a patient might not show up, and the risk-adjusted scheduling needs based on that reality. And so the system analyzed patient history. Are you a chronic no-shower? They analyze demographics, right, within regions, I assume, different age groups, the different types of appointments, right? Are there some appointments that people tend to hold and others maybe they tend to skip? Obviously, time of day matters, day of the week, and then in particular, travel distance, right? So they analyze all of this data, and the artificial intelligence models were able to reduce no-show rates. They optimize their schedule density where they're able to make sure that they have as many appointments as they can within a certain work hours, right? But not too many and not too little. And so they see massive success in improving the likelihood that they will be making money on this stuff, right? So I could go on, right? And you can kind of see some of these ideas here. We focus a lot, of course, on cybersecurity, so there's an element of cybersecurity use case. But the common theme, right, of all of this stuff is that AI can replace low leverage labor with high leverage insight, right? Being able to have AI do the heavy lifting of analysis and give you recommendations that you can take action on. And that's what we call taking and creating a structural advantage. And this is where the shift happens, right? AI is not about cost cutting. It's really about growth enablement, smarter scaling. Imagine in your business increasing output 30% but without increasing payroll 30%. Revenue growth without proportional overhead. Agility. We know that markets shift quickly, right? Pricing, supply chain, customer behavior. AI reduces that reaction time. All of this stuff happens so fast, right? Changes are happening so quickly. AI and automation allows you to reduce the time that you take to react to these changes. And implementation does not need to be chaotic, right? If it's done strategically, you start small, right? Maybe you find one particular workflow or one use case, right? That may have a lot of time friction, right? Or decision lag. You prioritize the high return on investment areas, right? So you know that one workflow that you have has to be done, right, by one of your most expensive employees, and it is repetitive and it happens recurring and it is time consuming, right? Prioritize those. You integrate carefully, right? You don't just slop this stuff together and throw it out there. And once you see that it's starting to work, right, you expand with intention. Growth should feel controlled with this stuff, not chaotic. Now, with every good side of things, right, we need to talk about the risk. And this is a little bit of what we call the uncomfortable part of AI and adoption. And this holds true with every single technology advancement that we've had. We are seeing a surge of unmanaged AI adoption, right? Everybody knows about AI now, and they want to see the results of this yesterday. So departments within your own business are signing up for tools, right, without some sort of IT oversight. Your employees are probably inputting sensitive data into public AI platforms, again, without maybe knowing that is a problem. But all this stuff creates misalignment. It creates tools that don't integrate with each other. It exasperates security gaps, unsecured data pipelines. You end up wasting money. You end up having subscriptions to tools that you never even use or even know you have. For those, again, in compliance regulated industries, you have exposure with compliance. And of course, scalability breaks down. You can't scale quick fixes. AI magnifies your infrastructure. So if your governance is weak, AI amplifies weakness. If your governance is strong, AI amplifies that. So let's quantify the impact, right? Time save. If each employee saves just 3 hours a week, multiply that by 50 employees, multiply that by an hourly cost, multiply that annually. Those numbers legitimately compound very, very quickly, just in time saved. I can't tell you how much time I save just in this process alone. AI topics, content, presentation creation, right? Talking point build outs, all of this stuff, right? And this is just one part of my day. Time amplifies, time savings amplify. Second, error reduction, billing mistakes, compliance mistakes, data entry mistakes. Each error that is made by a human being has a financial and a reputational cost. Third, customer satisfaction. I'm sure every one of us, right, would want to be able to respond to our customers faster, right? Or want it to be more personalized, right? The more personalized the experience, right, the more satisfaction that our customer have with our services. We want to make sure that we are improving consistency, right? People want to know what to expect and be able to deliver that. Retention improves, customer retention, employee retention. Referrals increase, right? Your customers tell other people, right, about how amazing it is to work with you. Lifetime value expands. And this isn't speculative ROI. This really is measurable operational improvement. Now, let me emphasize this clearly. AI increases your data flow. AI increases system integration. AI increases automation authority. But without security, that equals risk amplification. Cybersecurity, as part of all of this, is not a bolt-on. It's not an add-on. It is what we consider foundational infrastructure. Growth, automation, opportunity without cybersecurity foundations is fragile growth at best. And this is why we built the Protect to Propel framework. Everything starts with the understanding and management of risk of introducing AI and ensuring full readiness of AI. And that starts with a solid cybersecurity foundation. We embed this cybersecurity philosophy across the entire life cycle of AI. Risk assessments before deployment, secure implementation during integration, ongoing monitoring and management after deployment, compliance alignment, governance training, because AI governance is not optional anymore. It is becoming a board level concern. If you guys are large enough to have board of directors or advisory boards, these are the things that they will be talking to you about. Organizations that take this seriously will avoid all of this regulatory pain and reputational damage. Now, once you are ready for AI, we propel you through a structured approach. First, identify high impact areas. Talked about that before. What is one workflow or process that you know is repetitive, time consuming, and expensive and repeatable? Because not everything should be automated, right? Second, we want to integrate without disruption. Your business continues to run, right? We can't break that by introducing this new technology. Third, we need to ensure cybersecurity and the ability to scale whatever these solutions are, because architecture matters. Fourth, ongoing optimization. You wouldn't hire a human employee to do a job, not train them, not prepare them, and then just ignore them, right? No, you need to have consistent and ongoing training, optimization, and management and oversight, right? AI evolves. Your business evolves. You need to refine continuously. Now, if you're thinking about AI, right, the worst first step is random tool adoption. The best first step is strategy. Where are your bottlenecks? Where is your margin leaking? Where is a good opportunity to smartly introduce this into your business? Where could automation increase output? That's where we came up with the AI growth and profit assessment, and where it makes sense for most organizations as that first step. It's not experimentation, it's strategy. Hit the QR code if you're interested in meeting to talk more about this, but I'd love to hear if you guys have any questions at all. All right, we have a question. With AI and the tools changing so quickly, how can the security keep up? Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really excellent question. It comes down to building that cybersecurity foundation that is governance driven, right? So having that foundation in place, we call it protect to propel. We're talking about the protect piece of this here, right? Making sure that you are ready for AI, make sure that all the risk is mitigated as much as possible, and then building a governance process, right, where selection of tools and technology is just part of the culture, right? Most businesses should have something like this already in place, right? You're not just going to throw a new accounting system out there. You're not just going to go throw a new ERP system out there, right? There has to be some sort of software selection process based on certain criteria. What we're saying is it's become easier and easier for anybody to start implementing some of this stuff, which makes that governance that much more important, right? To make sure you have some sort of guardrails on that. But it is still part of that standard process of managing risk and opportunity within your business. Next question. I keep hearing trust but verify. Trust but verify. How can we get better at evaluating the outcomes AI gives us so we're still saving time on what we're doing? At what point is safe to just trust the data given back to us? Yeah, so I think what you're asking here is we often talk about having a human in the loop, right? Still with AI and automation. And the reason why that is a common recommendation is AI has the ability to hallucinate um, and give wrong information, right? And so having somebody in the loop at some point to validate and verify that information is being correct is still a step that needs to happen. Now, I've had this conversation with the chief AI officer for Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is a big insurance carrier in the United States. And he kind of laughs at this whole concept of human in the loop because he's like, well, whether it's AI or whether it is a human being, somebody within the chain still needs to verify the work, right? You're not just going to blindly let people do their job without spot checks and without validation and verification. But it still is a smart step, especially as you're training AI models, making sure that they work for you, right, before you let them go nuts. And again, it's kind of akin to you have somebody in a probationary period in a role, you're having them do certain things, you're kind of watching to see what kind of output they have. Is it consistently right and good? Then you could start to maybe let off the reins. But again, it's really dependent a lot on what is the system doing and what is the output. Like, is it risky, from a reputational or a financial perspective? Then you want to keep continuing to do that longer. But certainly at some point, if the model works, the model works. It's a good question. Any other questions? Another one. I know there are areas where AI can help in our company, but it still feels overwhelming on where to start. What departments do you suggest starting with? That's an amazing question. Hit the QR code, right? And we'll set up an AI growth and profit assessment because that'll kind of help us unleash this, right? I like to say that the if you are cautious, which is smart, that starting with departments that may have not so much maybe customer facing interactions, right? um, Maybe some internal things. I like to kind of break these AI down into a couple different concepts, right? You've got your chat-based AI, right, where AI is acting as a thought partner, and you ask AI questions and it provides you information. And of course, how complex and accurate you build your prompts, garbage in, garbage out, right? You give good prompts, you get good information. That's a really low risk use case, and do that every day, right? You're thinking about building a new marketing plan. You want to update your marketing collateral, or you want to figure out if it makes sense to go into a certain niche or market, right? Like, you can use AI through specially crafted and prompting, right, to kind of get that information. And you could take that information and the answers back and go, okay, that's full of crap, right? Or, oh, that's interesting. That's something I had never thought of. That's where I would start. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about is building either automations, right, that perform tasks, not just answer questions that you're asking. And then, the next thing is this agentic AI concept, right? Where it's building stuff and creating things. It's not just doing what you tell it to do, right? It's actually taking information, applying it, and doing something like a human being would. Those areas have a little bit more risk. So if you're going to start to tinker into that, that's when you start to identify what is one, I come back to this, find one workflow, right, that you know is super repetitive and it is consistent and it takes a lot of time, right? Maybe it's a report that you're expecting every month or every week or every day. Maybe it is I don't know, taking your financial statements, right, and feeding them into an AI, secure AI model, right, to make recommendations on cost reduction, right, or how to maybe categorize your general ledger in a different way. Um, a lot of people, of course, are experimenting, at first attempts at this with customer intake, right? So maybe they've got an agent on their website. Um, that is a customer facing risk there, right? Like if it messes up, like that's the first experience that somebody has with your business. But it is also something that's fairly simple to build. You can train it on information about your services and your business, and people can go there and have a conversation with it, and then it would help book those appointments. Um, but I think starting with thought partnership use of AI is a great first step if you're not using this a lot. And then right after that, once you start feeling comfortable, start looking at your business and where are workflows and processes that take a lot of time and are repetitive and that you can document. And then you could work with somebody to build that out. Any other questions, comments, snide remarks? All right. Well, I'm going to give everybody about 20 minutes back of their day. I appreciate people taking time. I hope this was useful. If you are interested, right, in taking the next step to see, hey, how can AI help my business or help me make more money or help me make faster decisions? Hit that QR code, book a meeting with me, and we'll talk about it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.